Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving a fresh take on crypto analytics, and this is your Solana ecosystem recap, where I cover some of the things going on in the Solana space. So let's jump in. Okay, so here we are on the quick 4-hour Solana chart, and I just wanted to quickly go over a couple of things with price because there's so much to cover. I haven't been able to do as many videos recently just because I've been so busy with a couple of projects that I'm working with at the moment, but that's okay. I will just drop in and provide an update here for what's going on with the Solana ecosystem and a couple of things with price. Now, just quickly, we'll have a look on the chart here. We can see right now we're at a longish term trend line. You can see we reacted off it there and there as well. This is a very old trend line now, going back to when we were on the rise at the start of the year. So it is one of significance. So at the breakout here of the trend line, decent support right down here. This was a very, very strong support level. That was 200-day EMA, which I'll show in just a sec. And we've just got this moving average to take out and this diagonal trend line essentially. And then we can start to look at these prices up here at 170. And if we can take out that zone essentially, then well, essentially, I think that probably means the bull market's back on, because once we take out that zone up there, essentially that's coming back up to the yearly high. And I think that once we get back up there again, that's probably when we would smash it, because Bitcoin would be taking out its all-time high as well. So it's looking pretty good, at least in the short term. The other thing worth noting is that, well, we have taken out all of the key moving averages, the 50, the 100-day, the 21-day, and the 20-week, which you can see at least here. And I was doing those videos on X. If you want those quick updates, just go follow me over there. But we could see the 100-day was a real tough one to take on. We actually had the 100-day resistance there, 100-day resistance there, technically also the 50-day, but also we had these inefficiencies here, these wicks. So these should be now support. So 150 should be a pretty key support now. So if we can hold the 150 level, then hopefully we're back on. So let's get into the actual ecosystem update and some really cool stuff we're seeing. So don't know if this is true, it'd be really cool if it's true, but we've got potentially BlackRock filing for an ETF. We do have the regulatory headwinds though. So at least with the current administration, there's a good chance that, you know, it might be quite difficult for this to pass. So I don't think BlackRock will apply unless they are absolutely sure that they could get it. So that's something to keep in mind. And we may need some sort of regime change or something like this in the SEC in order for this to pass. But at least for now, there is a chance. We don't know if this is true or not, but hey, during a call to investors on July 1st, BlackRock CEO alluded to an upcoming Solana ETF. So very interesting there, and would be really cool if that happened. We also had the ARK 21 shares officially filing for their Solana spot ETF. So that was a big thing as well that we saw in the last week. So last week was huge for Solana, actually. It seems like every week is huge for Solana, but we also had the ARK 21 shares ETF filing, and that was right after we had the VanEck filing for their spot Solana ETF. Now, one other thing they mentioned as well, and this was in a report they did. Now, this did have 3 scenarios, admittedly, for Solana. I think the lowest case for 2030 was like $80, but their super bull case for 2030 for Solana was 3,200. Now, 3,200, I think that would be something we would see if maybe we saw, I would say, maybe less adoption with ETH, as they maybe struggled to find a way to overcome the ecosystem fragmentation with all the L2s, scattered liquidity, all that sort of stuff. So that would be, I think, the only case where we would see a $1.3 trillion market cap for Solana, admittedly, but I mean, that would be pretty amazing and I'd love to see it, but that's 2030, right? That's 6 years away. So anything can happen between now and then, admittedly, but it's definitely something that could happen, though 1.3 trillion is incredibly high. And that would be Solana being used for a lot of different stuff. Like if we had some sort of institutional platform start to use Solana, then I think that would be the case for it to skyrocket up to those levels. Not just meme coins and what we have at the moment, but I'm talking like some really big stuff building on Solana. And there's absolutely potential that that would happen, right? Because it is an amazing chain, and with Firedancer around the corner, you know, these network halts will be a thing of the past, most likely. So last week, or the last couple of weeks, we had the ZK compression. So that makes the creation of token accounts much cheaper, because at the moment that's a little bit of a cost. There's a one-time payment for opening a token account. That's, if you buy a token for the first time, or if you use a DeFi protocol or anything for the first time, it has to create this token account for rent. So the ZK state compression makes that much cheaper. LSTs for anyone. I mean, this is something that I'm really looking forward to, because the use cases for this, and I'll go a bit further into those later in the video, but there's quite a lot that could be done with the Sanctum LST ecosystem. We have the blockchain links, and now I'll give even more examples into these later in the video, but this is a really cool thing, essentially as like a layer 2 for the web, if you will, or making Solana native to just about any site, primarily on X at the moment, but you will start to see it hopefully sort of span out to the rest of the internet or the web. We had the VanEck and ARK Invest 21 shares filing for their spot ETFs, and that news on BlackRock, pretty crazy. The Canada ETP was approved, and that's equivalent to an ETF, but just in Canada. We had a UFC partnership, which is cool, and a $60 million project startup accelerator program. So if you're looking to build a protocol or project on Solana, that could be something you could apply for. So there's some really bullish stuff that we've seen for Solana. And I thought this is pretty funny. Actually, footage of an ETH maxi becoming aware Solana will get spot ETFs too. This is pretty. I'm sure you'll watch the debate, and if you didn't, then probably do yourself a favor and don't even bother. But anyway, that was a bit of a train wreck. But yeah, what camp are you in with regards to the ETH ETF coming out? So this is one of the biggest headwinds we have for the ETH ETF is the Grayscale trust, because there's speculation that won't be enough inflows and interest, at least at the start, compared to the amount of ETH that will come out of the Grayscale trust. If history repeats like what it did with the Bitcoin trust, if the ETH ETF scenario plays out in a very similar way, then we could see a significant amount of outflows and not enough ETH inflows to shore up the price of ETH. So this is definitely something that I'm preparing for, and we're talking a potential like 5 to 10 billion potentially flowing into Ethereum through the ETFs, but we've also got about 5 billion potentially that would be sold after or around the time of the ETF being dropped. So, I mean, that's the other thing as well to consider whenever looking at the ETFs. How much does Grayscale have? And just for context, there is approximately 70 million in assets under management as of July 1st, 2024, which really isn't a lot comparatively. We're talking about 5 billion or so versus 70 million, really not a lot. So it's not something we have to worry about as much, at least within Solana, compared to Ethereum, for example. So that's something to consider at the very least. So $11 billion that Grayscale holds with their Ethereum trust. So, I mean, if that's sold off as aggressively or outflowed as aggressively as what the Bitcoin trust has, that could potentially put a lid on the Ethereum ETF, being bullish, at least in the short term. Another metric that at least Gumshoe picked up, which actually preceded that mini pump that we had when the VanEck news on the ETF dropped, was the stablecoin inflows. We had this big tick up on stablecoin inflows, and the source here was DeFi Llama for this. So this is actually a really good thing to keep an eye on in the future, is if we get this spike up in stablecoin inflows into the Solana ecosystem, then price follows the stablecoins, right? As on-chain trading can pick up with all this fresh liquidity. So this was posted just before the pump. So good on you, Gumshoe. Absolutely nailed this one. There was a 7% increase driven by USDC. And then we had a pump up in price. That was this candle right here. So we have a look here. That was on the 27th of June. And then let's have a look here. That's the 27th of June right there. And then we went boom. So definitely something to keep your eye on. So if that's not a metric you're looking at, put that one on your radar. Highly recommended. Now also, if we have a look at more on-chain metrics, have a look at the daily transactions and the monthly active addresses. Bit of a downturn, at least, well, the market's been boring and people are probably getting chopped up a little bit and the meme coins are dying down a little bit, but bit of a downturn, but we're still seeing highs, at least since the start of the cycle, right? We're seeing 30 million odd monthly active addresses in terms of tracking wallets, and we're seeing all-time highs, at least with regards to just this cycle. So we're just contain it within this cycle. We're seeing highs of daily transactions as well. I would say all-time highs as well, considering Solana was nowhere near as adopted as it is today. So more bullish stuff. This is actually in reply to Matt Siegel from VanEck. He's saying, this correction, is it in the room with us now? And, you know, when you look at layer one blockchain activity active users hitting new highs, this is 2022. Although that was the bear market, so admittedly that makes sense, but that's still, you know, a lot of on-chain activity. And I think a good chunk of that can be attributed to the Solana ecosystem, that's for sure. Moving on, I was having a play with TipLink, and if you're familiar with TipLink, it is a Google-based wallet. So essentially what you can do is you can sign into Drift, Jupiter. These are the only two that I've really tested so far, but Drift and Jupiter are an example. You can essentially sign into those with your Google account using TipLink. So pretty cool. And when you sign up to it as well, they give you a link that you can post on X. Now I did post it with a slightly longer post. So if you're a X Premium user and you can write slightly longer posts, it won't work. The blinks won't work in these extended posts. They only work in the short posts. So keep your posts short if you want to post blinks is the long and short of it. Those are the blockchain links. And I'll show you more really cool examples of those later in the video as well. But if you post a blink, it looks like this. I posted one. And as I said in this post, I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to test it out. But I can definitely see this being a really decent on-ramp for new users that aren't familiar with the classic web wallet experience akin to, say, your Phantom or Backpack, right? So this is something that's really cool. As you can see, it didn't resolve there, but if you come down here, you can see it right here. And this is how, you know, anyone could just tip 0.1 sol to anyone, doesn't matter who it is. And essentially, you know, you could just send a tip and then bang, it just says complete. I just sent myself 0.1. I just sent myself 0.1 sol just for fun while on the video. So there you go. I mean, that's really, really cool experience. I think this is definitely a wallet that has a lot of potential because we're all trying to find those new ways to bring new users in. And I think that maybe the Phantom experience might be a little bit daunting, but hey, signing in with Google is not so bad because you don't have to back your keys up, which again, I would prefer to use Phantom personally, but I'm Web3 native. This is more for Web2 natives coming into Web3. So that's the whole point of that. But I thought it was pretty cool, nice and smooth. You do still have to approve transactions in Drift. I was doing some trading in Drift and I can probably show that right here. So I just took a tiny little short out on ZEX and put a stop loss real tight and a tiny long on Drift. And again, this is just a hedge on my airdrop for Zex, but the experience has been pretty straightforward. So, you know, we could just go here, you know, type in, say for example, $10. I understand the risk. I mean, already I'm aware of it. And essentially it still comes up with the confirmation here, but that's it. You just click confirm like that, and then bang, there you go. So it's pretty cool. I think it still requires approvals and all that sort of stuff, which I thought maybe was what we would see less of with something like TipLink, but no, it still requires approvals. It's not that big a deal. I think overall, it's still a pretty streamlined experience compared to something like your Phantom wallet. So we have the cloud launch coming soon, and to remind you, that's the Sanctum LST ecosystem token. And I was having a think about it the other day, and just my belief is that Sanctum has a lot of potential of being a key part of the ecosystem because they're doing the LSTs for any one thing, right? FP Lee or Sol Economist, whatever you want to call him, one of the key team in Sanctum, he has his own LST, for example, and all of the staking yield goes to him, right? So we'll go through this just quickly and how I believe that Sanctum and the cloud token has a solid use case within the Solana ecosystem, and at least is something that might be a decent hold. So here's something we might be able to do with cloud staking. So Sanctum mentioned in the future, anyone will be able to create their own personal LSTs. They said staking cloud allows LSTs to be included in future Wonderland seasons. Now this is the important part, right? If you're a content creator or someone providing value, you could create one that splits staking yield with part going to you as the creator or protocol or whatever entity you may be as a subscription fee of some kind, for example, for people who want to support you, and the rest is rebased into the price of the Sol LS2, as currently that's how these LSTs work. The staking yield is added to the price of the underlying asset, which is Solana, and that process is called rebasing, right? So FP Lee, or Sol Economist, as I mentioned before, of Sanctum, has one and all the yield goes to him, but it's still Sol, so the price appreciates with the market regardless, right? In the future, you may be able to be included in Wonderland seasons, meaning you could briefly pick up additional yield if the bonus XP multiplier is applied to your pet, because every LST gets a pet, right? As we saw with level 1, level 2, you know, leveling up to like 120 with all the pets and all that sort of stuff, for example. Well, if you have pet, then generally when it goes through those weekly points boost rotations, then maybe your pet will be selected and a lot of people will end up buying that LST to gamify and farm for the airdrop, right? Because airdrop farmers are a thing. and I know I did, right? I always swapped to at least one that had an XP boost every week when they were doing the quests, right? So often at the end of these seasons, people end up holding onto some of these LSTs that had boosts. And again, I know I have some that I wouldn't have bought otherwise, and not because I've got anything against them, just because, well, I didn't really have much reason to swap to them. So it's just like an incentive. So again, yeah, if you're one of these that's being included in the Wonderland season, then essentially, if you did have that reward split, then you'd be gaining that yield during that period. So that's kind of what I mean for that. So we also have the likes of VSOL, which is the Vault Sol. For example, are doing a points program now for those who deposit VSOL in their vault on their website. So you could do something like that if you're working on a project, and you could use a staking yield to a funding raise of sorts, right? So that's the other thing as well. You could consider this as some sort of funding raise while you're waiting for VCs or something like that. You could use this as a way to earn more SOL, which is really cool. If you accumulated enough during these periods, you could even get like a fire dancer client, for example, down the road, spark up your own validator, and you'd be further decentralizing the network and would be, well, a validator for SOL, which would be much higher yield than even just doing normal staking, right? Maybe you use these points for an airdrop, if that's the case, if the project tokenizes. And what do I mean by that? Is if you're working on a project and you're accruing points based on people who are holding your LST, so someone's holding your LST, or a group of people are holding your LST, and you're earning yield from that, and like Vault Sol, you're counting points based on that LST vault that they created, for example, then essentially you could keep track of those points with those deposits, or whatever you're tracking within the Solana ecosystem, be it liquidity pairing in Radium, Orco, Lifinity, wherever that may be, or something in like Camino, which is what Vault Sol is doing, then that could be something you could keep track of there. And because they have the profiles with Sanctum as well. So cloud staking will be used for governance too, and they may take a similar approach to Jupiter. FP Lee on a live stream mentioned that he was thinking about how Sanctum could implement something like the ASR rewards program that Jupiter's doing for Jupe stakers, actively participating in governance. Given some of the Sanctum team is also part of Jupiter, and Sanctum going above and beyond, even with their airdrop campaign, I see them being able to pull that off. And maybe the project staking cloud with LSTs could be included in that ASR program, giving them even more exposure to the ecosystem. And all the people participating in the Wonderland seasons, it's approximately 300,000 wallets that were registered in season 1. So that puts some things into perspective in terms of gaining exposure to the Solana ecosystem if you're a small project and you haven't been noticed yet. But regardless, I think that cloud has value for this sort of thing, and I think sky's the limit with how much Sanctum can actually improve the Solana ecosystem as a whole. So it could be a decent hold if creators or projects start to use Sanctum's infinite LST ecosystem in these ways, and it really takes grip. So that was something that I was having a think about, and yeah, it's up to you. Like this, again, a lot of this is kind of speculation. Some of it's true and locked in with regards to cloud staking, but if they will allow personal LSTs into Wonderland, that remains to be seen, right? It might just be project LSTs. We're not really sure. But anyway, I just think that that's potentially a decent use case for cloud. And one of the reasons why I'm holding onto it is because I hope that a project that I'm working on at the moment with a team, I hope that we can potentially implement our own LST. If you are in the same position, then maybe you'd consider the same thing, right? Now, the information on the airdrop for Sanctum has been released, and they're taking a very interesting path with this. So I think it's pretty cool what they're doing. So let's have a quick look at just quickly what they plan on doing. Now, essentially what they're going to do is they want to reward the Earnest. So remember, like even one of the responses, and I've mentioned this a few times in the quests, was the Earnest will create our new world. So essentially that's been something that's been on their mind, and what they are doing is they're splitting the airdrop into 5% capital, so determined by the Wonderland XP, and 5% to the Earnest. And now Earnest is not people who are airdrop farming, but more so teaching and helping other people. So if you've just got posts on X, and it's just X, so even me like being super bullish here on YouTube doesn't mean anything because they can't really vet that. But they would have gone to a lot of effort to find all of the bullish posting and helpful stuff on X. To be honest, it would have taken them a lot of time to figure that out, which is why they did the profiles thing as well, so they could attach your X profile and Discord as well, because they want to see if you've been super helpful in the Discord as well, to your wallet. So that way there's some sort of relationship there. But you got the whole 5% there. Now, in terms of capital, people like myself who put in an insane amount of SOL into this to farm for the airdrop, admittedly, there's a lot of us, I would say, that would be able to take a big share of this. But a lot of the 5% for Earnest, most of those were just like, here's how to farm the airdrop, and weren't that helpful, right? So if you were bull posting, and he said not just yes men, but if you were bull posting and being helpful on X with Sanctum, then you would be eligible for the 5% share, and there might not be that many people. So it might be actually a larger share with regards to that part of the airdrop. And something to confirm here is that for most of these profiles, this level will be 0. Only profiles with non-negligible contributions will have an Earnest level. So they did a lot of Google translating and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I think that's the TLDR, really. And they really want to give their airdrop to people who believe in the project. Because if we look at nearly every airdrop, the ZEX airdrop, all that sort of stuff, we've seen mass selling events taking place after the airdrops. So really, everyone's trying to figure out a way to not have price just dump on their airdrop or on their token. Everyone's trying to figure something out, and this is what their approach is. So literally that's what it is. So if you've been Earnest, then you probably are eligible. But this is my take, I guess, is that I think that actually is pretty cool, because it means that people with smaller stacks of SOL LSTs are eligible for the same share of the airdrop as those with massive stacks. So again, like even if you had like 1 or 2 SOL staked, well, it doesn't matter. If you are bull posting and being really helpful within X, then, well, you are eligible for probably even more, to be honest, because there's probably not as many people doing that. So, I mean, I think that's pretty interesting. So the primary factor is how much they contributed to Sanctum and its vision. Important to note that they didn't count "this is how you farm an airdrop" style posts in this, but mainly those that made a meaningful contribution to raise awareness for Sanctum and educate on what it's all about. I reckon they went to a great deal of effort to find these genuine posts. For me, most of my big upsmanship and detailed explanations of Sanctum and the project's value were done on right here on YouTube. So likely I won't be a part of it, but that's fine, because I still appreciate what they're trying to achieve with this, and I'm still part of the other 5%. So, and I plan on buying Cloud token. So that's me anyway, and that's my take on it. Hopefully you appreciate it, and if you do, then leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this approach to a airdrop. I think it's cool anyway, and it just means that so it's part plutocratic and part meritocratic, as in meritocracy. So in a plutocracy, the world is run by those with the most money, which is kind of what most airdrop farming and what blockchain is anyway. Whereas a meritocracy is what you're worth and what value you're providing to humanity as a whole, right? That would be a meritocracy, which I believe in that more than plutocracy, to be honest, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Whereas a meritocracy is, if you're earnest, if you work hard and, you contribute to the planet in some meaningful way, then that's how you move up in the social ladder, so to speak. So it's like a bit of half and half, right? I think it's really cool. And I mentioned before about validators and how much more you can make as a validator, right? So check this out. So on Sanctum, there's actually something called APYsol, where all of the validator commission goes back into the value of the token. Look at this, 14.63%. That's pretty nuts. So that's something, if you just want pure LSTs at the moment, you might as well check out some of the LSTs on the network. But this one's almost 15% APY in SOL. That's crazy. So that's the sort of thing that we're seeing now with the Infinite Sanctum ecosystem. So I mentioned before about the Zeta Markets airdrop, and I showed you before the chart, which looks pretty bad, unfortunately. But so for me, I managed to nail some spot buys at the bottom, and that was in GSOL. And for Perps, I generally wait for breakouts for my trading, and that was on the daily Heikenhashi super trend at least. And I put in a ladder buy, and it just missed my last buy by a hair, but I put in a ladder buy, and that's currently up about 43% on Zeta. It's been a pretty smooth experience, and I have high hopes for Zeta, and why I have no regrets in locking my airdrop up for 6 months. I see a lot of potential in Zeta, to be honest. I think it's a really smooth trading experience, and I think by the time I get my airdrop allocation, it will probably be a lot less. But the main reason why I did this is because if you lock your ZEX or ZEX, however you want to pronounce it, a share of the staking airdrop, which is 20 million ZEX, is essentially boosted. So my airdrop was really small. My allocation was quite small. So I'm just going to stake it immediately, claim stake, and then that pie will grow, right? So that's why I did that. And I hedged my airdrop on Drift. And there you go. So you can actually trade ZEX at the moment on Drift Protocol. That's a pretty good spot where you can essentially hedge your airdrop. And right now, from not the absolute peak, but at least, you know, this first red candle after this massive green candle, if you did take a short on that, then, you know, you'd be up at least at the moment, it's about 60, 70 odd %. So kind of puts things into perspective. But at least, you know, if you did stake, then you can hedge on Drift. But you'll have to see if this keeps bleeding out for a while and then starts to form a bottom, then that could be potentially what we're looking at. I think a lot of people probably just claiming and selling their airdrop, unfortunately, but I locked mine for 6 months. And this is what I was talking about before with Sanctum. They're trying to prevent stuff like this from happening because, well, it doesn't look great, as in, like, you know, it kind of ruins sentiment a little bit, and they want to keep sentiment high for their project and protocol. So they're trying to protect the value of their token. So anyway, let's move on. We got Whale's Friend here. Really cool show on YouTube. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a live stream on Twitch, but you can go and watch the recordings on YouTube as well. Looking at Mango markets, so we're talking about PerpDEXs, might as well keep it going with PerpDEXs. There's a really cool kind of decentralized style approach. So Dean's List recently launched their Dean token on Mango markets. This is really cool. So if you hold Mango or MGO and you deposit on Realms, you can go through a application process to get your token listed on Mango, which is really cool. Akin to how Mother did. So Mother's listed on Mango, for example. There's a tutorial here and thread, 100K Mango deposit into Realms to set up the vote, and you can actually withdraw the tokens after the vote is completed as well. And there you go, there's Mother as the example there, right? So essentially you just go and deposit the MNGO, create an open book market. This is for creating a new token, at least. Create the switchboard oracle, list the token, and it's done. That's really, really cool. It's a proposal as well. So really cool stuff. Decentralizing the listing process as well on PerpDEXs, which I think is something that we may see more as more decentralization takes place, at least within the ecosystem, then maybe that is an approach that we'll start to see more of these PerpDEXs take, where the listing process is decentralized in some sort of way, maybe through a DAO vote. So I think that's really cool anyway. Still on track with PerpDEXs, I was listening to the recent call with Jupiter and Drift. So Cindy was on the call and Soju from, well, Sanctum and Jupiter, but Jupiter had a decent conversation, and I took a few notes. So here's some of the stuff I picked up from the call, just in case you don't have time to listen to it. So you can now use JLP as collateral to trade against. How many months have I been saying that would be amazing? So something I've been saying would be epic for the JLP for months, and we finally have it. The value of JLP slowly grows with the yield collected from trading fees on Jupiter Perps, slowly de-risking underwater positions unlike USDC. So if you're trading against USDC, it is a stable US dollar value. Whereas if you are trading against the JLP, it's that slow up only effect, right? If you have a look at the JLP on the daily, you can see it's just, this is what it looks like. It just is up only. I mean, it's up about 100% since November last year. Pretty impressive. It did have some movements down, at least at the start of the month, last month, but yeah, it's back on track. We went down to 2.5 as a wick, so oof. Pretty nasty, but yeah, we did have a market sell-off there as well. So I think a lot of people were probably selling their JLP, which would have added selling pressure, admittedly. But that's just kind of nicely going up in a gentle fashion. Soon, Drift is launching a JLP Vault, giving more value to JLP with easy deposits into the vault via Blinks on X. So this vault, we'll have to see exactly what they do. But again, we'll have to see what they do with the vault as they release the information on it very soon, very, very soon. Also on the call, something Cindy said was she wants to create liquid prediction markets. So think of this, poly markets, but as perps. So I mean, with poly markets, you can vote, like, you know, for example, on the presidential election and just about anything. You can literally vote on anything, and people can spin up their own poly market or prediction market in poly market. Now, this is a potentially liquid version of that. So I think that the meme coins, like the presidential coins, for example, are a similar vertical. For example, you know, we saw the Bowden token just dump to almost zero after the presidential debate. Well, what does that say, right? That's basically the market reacting on a meme coin to a real world event. So that's what it essentially is, but you can't short that. You can only buy and sell it. So what Drift is trying to do here is create something very similar to this. Now, if you remember, FTX had something similar as well. Whatever happened to FTX, obviously, you know, that was a disaster, but they had some really cool stuff. They did have similar perps trading for presidents, and that's a liquid prediction market using perps. So you can short a president or long a president, right? And with regards to that, or just about anything really. And you saw on a post recently, she said, need Biden versus Trump perps right now, right? So shorting Biden would be a big win. So essentially that's what she means by this. So that's possibly coming within the coming months. Also, she mentioned deep in token structured products. So a way for you to hedge against the potential sell-off that you'll get from deep in coins, because deep in tokens are generally reward tokens, right? So this could be like some sort of basis trade structured product that essentially holds the value of your deep in tokens by shorting and buying spot or something to this effect. So we'll have to see what they do with that, but that would be really cool. And you've got tokenized insurance funds as well, because they've got the insurance funds at the moment and they're looking to potentially tokenize those. So you can go and listen to the whole recording if you wish, but that's a TLDR on it. Those are just my dot points that I took from that call. Next up, NX has added a point system for an airdrop. Now, I mentioned NX Finance in a previous video, or a couple previous videos now, as like a one to watch. Essentially what they have is they have leverage farming of the JLP. So you can lever up your JLP. Now, I did show you that little spike down in price before. So that's something to consider before you degen your life savings into this. And you do get a points boost for if you use the backpack wallet. And you also get a boost for if you join or create a team. So I haven't joined or created a team yet because I'm still waiting to figure this one out. So if you would join my team, let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll create one and we can all do this together. If not, then that's fine. Go find, someone else on X or something like that to join a team for, because you do get more points for joining a team. So that's something I'm still yet to do, yet to figure out who I'm going to join. At the moment, you can lend USDC. I've just put a tiny amount in, $100, as you can see. That's got currently at 40% APR, probably because people are using this a lot more. And as more people use this, the APR will increase. But yeah, you can leverage up. I just put a small amount, just $1,000 in here. I wouldn't put much more than that. This is JLP to me is my savings account, so I don't really want, again, to ape my life savings into this. But essentially, you can lever this up. And at the moment, my liquidation on this would be 2.31. So if the market takes another downturn and we see another spike down like that, where's that 2.31 right here? Oof, that's I guess that's kind of safe-ish. That was a 4x leverage. So the JLP would have to drop 22%. That would be a spike down. What was this spike? This spike was about 12%. This spike was about 15%. So not too bad. It's relatively liquid, so it's not so bad. But yeah, just keep that in mind, right? If you're selecting 5x leverage, just because you really want to degen that yield, just keep that in mind before you go too crazy with the leverage, right? But they do have a points program, so we don't really know what that's going to translate to. Maybe they're going to do a token. That's most likely what that means. But they're also looking at potentially adding some of the Sanctum LSTs. So they did post here and asked the community, at least we got 226 votes, not too many, but what the community would like as a token to add as collateral. So you can add USDC at the moment, and it'd be really cool, at least for me, if you could add INF, because I have a lot of INF. But 3 solid choices, I have to say. Like, I voted for INF only because it's my largest holding of the 3, but they're all amazing as far as I'm concerned. VSOL I've got, but that's in the vault. And JupSol is my second largest LST holding, because I have a lot of faith in Jupiter and I love the idea of them getting paid for me just holding Sol, right? I mean, I'm making decent yield on it because they rebase some fees and stuff also into the price and the yield for JupSol, but they also make their cut being a validator. So supporting the Jupiter ecosystem there, but also getting good yield on it myself. And you can use it in a lot of DeFi protocols as well. So maybe we'll see some of those LSTs pop in here as a potential lending asset that you can put down as collateral as well, which I think would probably reduce your liquidation risk, I would say. Hopefully, that's how it works anyway. We're talking about Jupiter, might as well keep going and talk about Jupiter. So we're actually in for a massive month with Jupiter Exchange. So Juply, is that what they're calling it now? Is looking aces right now. We got the ASR rewards claim coming up. We got the Cloud token and the DBR token launch. So that's the Sanctum Cloud token and the dBridge launch as well. DAO is looking to reduce the supply by 30%. And we've got 2 J4J votes regarding future airdrop rewards events. So that's with regards to Jupuary and regards to future ASR rewards events as well, because they're really trying to reduce the token supply at the moment, right? The J4J is the Jupe for Jupe. So that's essentially, if you contribute to the Jupiter ecosystem, then they want to give Jupe to you. And there's CEF, which is the community eats first, because what they're doing is they want to lock their tokens up for a longer period of time, like 5 years or something crazy. And that way all of the community get their rewards before they get a chance to sell theirs. So that's really cool. I respect that. And Jupiter to me looks like the kind of perfect project where at least it comes across this way as very much the opposite of a money grab style project. I think that they really do value their community, and I have a lot of respect for them, and they're doing a lot for the Solana ecosystem. There's no doubt about that. Also, we've got here Hitmonlee. So there's an account over here. I saw that they have actually created this really cool dashboard to help users easily find their total volume and transaction history on Jupiter Exchange. So Jupuary, as I hope you're well aware, the more volume you put through the Jupiter ecosystem, the more allocation you will get for Jupuary. So come over to, this is hitmonlee.card.co, okay? That's just the link in the description there. You can come over to the site here and start tracking your wallet. So there you go. Pretty cool dashboard, and something that you can use to keep track of your volume, at least through Jupiter. So I think that's pretty cool, and something that, you know, you might find cool too, so which is why I mentioned it. Now let's cover a few more Blinks related things. Just in case you are unaware, I recorded this video quickly of how to turn the Blinks feature on. So essentially you go to your Phantom wallet, open that up, and then go to settings. And once you're in settings, you come down to experimental features, and then you go into there, and then you just turn this on, right? So once you've turned that on, the Blinks should work for you. So if you're wondering why Blinks aren't working for you, you got to make sure you turn this on, right? Now, here's a really cool list of some features, and at least currently some ideas for Blinks right now. So we've got here prediction markets straight from within X. You can essentially vote for, you know, the next UFC fight or whatever. Pretty cool. So this is Hedgehog. They are probably the biggest prediction market on Solana. Pretty small still compared to poly markets, but still relatively big. If you have a multi-sig wallet, there's a sign transaction. So you can essentially just send a Blink to sign for a multi-sig. So the multi-sig requires multiple people to confirm a withdrawal, for example. So there you go. That's Squad's protocol using Blinks to sign a transaction for a multi-sig transaction. Airdrop checker by GSOL works. Airdrop eligibility, you can literally just click for NFTs and tokens via message signing. There's a small fee, which fair enough. For the convenience, that's 10 cents, you know. Again, like, that's really cool. Like a convenient way to generate easy revenue, right? So the more people that use this, you know, maybe it's 10 cents. Maybe if like 100,000 people use it, that's $10,000 just like that. So that's really cool, right? Mini games, for example, like this Chomp.games and Blessed Burgers. So essentially we got the mini on-chain games and quizzes that take inputs from users right from within their feeds. That's kind of cool. I think that's kind of cool. We got NFT minting and bidding. So this is Degen Poet. This is the Degen Poet Drip NFT. And you can mint for free just right there from within X. So really cool. No code tool that lets anyone create, mint, bid, and buy NFTs using Blinks right now from the X feed. Really, really, really cool feature, that one, I reckon. Crypto super charts. Now I think this is kind of interesting. So super charts are a huge revenue source for creators. Build a tool with an interface where one can generate Blinks to allow others to send them paid messages. So users send messages from their feeds and creators can see or reply from one dashboard. So think of it like, for example, on YouTube, how you've got the super chats, right? So super chats is, you know, during a live stream, you'll have people who pay and, you know, send a tip or something like that. They generally will just read those comments, the ones that people who have paid. So that's essentially the equivalent, but on X instead. So I think that's really cool and tipped with Solana. Gated events. Like, for example, we've got this one with Helium. So events by communities often have a requirement to enter, NFTs, proof of registration, etc. Enable registering and checking eligibility with Blinks by letting users connect their wallets to an event's post on X. So that's pretty cool. Also, we had like token gated content. So if gated communities are huge, gated content will be even bigger. With Blinks, you can enable creators to gate their content, so comics, videos, blogs, etc., with NFTs, payments, and more. This is interesting. Every messaging interface has smart messaging now with Blinks. Build a no-code tool to enable users to send, buy, and trade meme coins, NFTs, and more right from your chat. So BonkBot success further validates this. So again, this is just trading within a chat. So that's really cool. I think that's an X chat, right? So payment requests and settlement in DMs. So PayPal and Circle, send request and settle payments on-chain So again, you can just send a Blink. If someone owes you $5 or $10 or something like that, you can send them a request for USDC or PYUSD straight from within X. Remember, X, they're looking to do the everything app. So this is front running that whole concept, right? I think it's really, really cool. Also, we've got NFT and token spam NFT burning straight from within your X feed. So again, Sol Incinerator within X can scan for spam NFTs and you can just burn them straight from within your feed, or use the Bonk poop scooper, which is where it takes what it thinks are useless tokens and converts them to Bonk. So there you go. Bonk is going hard with this. So you can create tools around meme coins. So Bonk is, of course, Bonk's the first to do this, right? Let the wider meme coin community have fun on X and create small games and tools to engage with their communities directly on Twitter. So you can bonk your friend for 10k Bonk. That's so random. And also MarginFi partnered with Bonk to provide depositors with a special offer on their Bonk in exchange for a 6-month lockup. So that's 10% APY for depositing Bonk straight from within X. Overclock Sol. So again, Helios is this as well, but you can stake your Sol to a liquid stake token straight from within the feed. So you can do that there. We've got 2 examples here with ClockSol and BonkSol, where you can essentially, you can either tick this or select a value essentially. But if you run a validator, it's become easier for you to attract staking, both liquid and native. Just create a Blink. So again, the infinite Sanctum LSTs, if you're a content creator or someone providing value, you can create a Blink where it's just like, well, hey, do you like what I'm doing here? And remember that Sanctum is looking to do also some like gated content. So anyone who's like subscribing to you and that's holding your LST, then you can post content that only someone who's holding your LST can see through profiles, right? So you can basically create this whole marketing spiel. Like if you like my price predictions, or if you like this or that, then you post a Blink and just say, here is how you can subscribe to my, gated content channel, essentially, and just have a Blink. So they're just like, yeah, I like your stuff, and just bang, they click it, approve the transaction, and off you go. So, I mean, this is really smoothing things out. I mean, just think of the potential here, right? Also, we also saw that the Drift Protocol and Flash Trade are doing their own integrations. We've got also the MetaDAO as well, but if you just want to execute a long or a short on a token, you can do it straight from within a Blink, which is really cool. And you can also collect your fees if you hold the FLP. You can do it straight within X as well, right? So if you hold the FLP, which is their flash trade, kind of like the JLP, but for flash trade, with the way they pay out is with USDC rather than rebasing it into the actual token itself. So there's a little bit that goes in, but I think if anything, the token goes down in value. That's from my experience, but you do get a decent amount of yield in USDC. So you can just click straight on the link if you see it while you're scrolling in your feed and just be like, oh yeah, I gotta collect my FLP yield, and you can just collect it straight within X. Really, really cool. So yeah, sponsored tipping for GitHub repositories, really cool. More wallet interactions straight from within X, like a lot of NFT related stuff. So this is definitely something that like other people have thought of as well. When I mentioned before with the YouTube comment. So imagine crypto super chats. So enable a YouTube creators audience to send crypto super chats during live streams and reward the creator. So this is not happening just yet, but this would be really cool. Again, remember, Blinks is looking to be everywhere, not just on X. So this is something we could see in the not too distant future. Tipping live with Blinks as super chats on YouTube. How cool would that be? So I think that's probably enough. There's a lot in this thread, but I think that kind of wraps it up anyway. We also saw the Lehman Brothers, and I'm not talking about the dead investment bank, but I'm talking about this Baxis, I think it is first on-chain bottle drop powered by Blinks. So it's called the Lehman Brothers Channel 11 Ashes of Destruction 8-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey. Yeah, I think that's just the name of the whiskey there. It's pretty funny. So there's 500 available. Price is $200. Pretty pricey, but hopefully it's a good bottle of whiskey. But you can see right here within X, we've got bang. It's as an NFT straight from within X. So really, really cool. So that's a lot of money to immediately have to pour one out for Lehman Bros. It's more TVL in the bottle than the entire firm right now. I thought that was pretty funny. Also, we had Lulo, the savings account. Also add DeFi integration. So there you go, straight from within here, you can deposit 100 USDC, 200 USDC, 500 USDC, or enter a custom amount straight from within X. So again, more really cool integrations of Blinks. And also Radium. So Radium now supports Blink creation for all assets. So you can create Blinks or blockchain links for any token and start earning 1% referral fees. Oh, look at that. So that's, again, remember I mentioned before that they're keeping track of referrals as well, right? So you can earn fees by creating your own blinks. It's like a sort of referral process. So this is another way you can sort of earn a small amount of yield, I guess, if you will, on X by hosting a token, right? Check this out, Degens. And there it is right there. So that's Ray. I mean, Ray's not exactly a degen coin, but I guess it kind of is now. So let's kind of move on from the Blink stuff and cover a few more things. So more and more people are skipping centralized exchanges for onboarding to use on-chain trading options like on Solana. So we had MoonPay setting a new all-time high for people buying SOL straight from their platform, via bank cards most likely. MoonPay has been a solid crypto on-ramp for years now, and Jupiter Exchange, for example, picks from the best rates from a range of different platforms using the on-ramper, and we're seeing uptake in Sphere Labs adoption too, with their bank integration. So we're seeing a lot more people decide to skip the onboarding process via exchanges and come straight on-chain from their bank. And Sphere Labs is looking as the off-ramp, right? So we got plenty of on-ramps now. You know, as I said before with this post, Jupiter actually picks the cheapest and gives you the best rate, and that's with and without KYC or document uploading. And Sphere Labs is looking for ways to try and get funds off, right? Because there's plenty of on-ramps now, we need more off-ramps, essentially. And we've got crypto cards like the SOL card, which I've covered many times as well. We've got crypto cards. Now, I tested the crypto card, the SOL crypto card with Apple Pay, and I'm telling you, it didn't really work. It didn't work in most places, but I'm in Asia, so that's probably why. I think if in America, you'd have a lot more luck, but for me, it didn't really work anywhere I tried it. But I mean, still pretty cool. It's slowly getting there, right? Slowly getting there. Now, quickly with a couple of meme coin things. There's a Holdium, which I think I mentioned in the last video. You can add all of your wallets together and create a referral link as well, and you can earn 10% of the points for your referrer. I mean, I can leave a link to mine in the description below. I doubt you probably use it, but that's okay. There is a leaderboard and stuff as well. I've got about 26,000 points. Registration ends in 9 days, so if you haven't done this, go and register your wallets. Any wallets you've bought meme coins for, or you still hold them, that's the best case for this. But any wallets where you've bought meme coins before, at least for a period, go and set this up because you will get a airdrop of their meme coin. But again, remember, it's like a linear vesting sort of schedule based airdrop where the longer you hold on to it, the more airdrop you'll get, essentially. But yeah, I think I'm literally just going to hold on to mine and just moon or doom for it, I think, to be honest. But essentially, yeah, they've got this big list, and here they all are. So they've got Wang's Wait as well, you know, Whiff, Bonk, Mew, Popcat, Slurf, Honky, Myro. I mean, look, it's a huge list, huge list. And if you've held any of these for a certain period of time, it's all allocated based on your weighting. Me, I think my biggest holding is Whiff right now, and I've also got a decent amount of Popcat and Mew and Mothers on there too, and Wen as well, and so on and so forth. I got heaps of these. I've still got a little bit of Michi. I had a lot for a period there, but now I've just got a little bit. Manecki's on there. I mean, all the Giga, it's Giga chat. All the Giga sort of meme coins on Solana have been included in this. So most likely you've held one of those if you're a degen like me for at least a period of time. So if you have, then go check it out. All Glock's on there too. And Keems. I had that back in 2021, 2022. I don't know if I still have my Keems though, to be honest. Anyway, I think this is something worth checking out. Go to Holdium, ium.xyz, and you might as well go register your wallet because you might get some free money from it. So why not, right? Also, I saw DEX Screener is going to launch their own pumped up fund competitor, Moonshot. So there you go. There's another pumped up fund coming, and that's courtesy of DEX Screener. So if you're into that sort of thing, then go and do your thing. Go check it out. See if it's any good, right? And lastly, in terms of paths to 1 billion users, just going to also give another shout out to BlockPlay. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to BlockPlay, this is another potential vertical for the 1 billion users narrative, right? So these guys are building on Solana, essentially, and it is a layer 2 for AAA video games. At the moment, starting on PC, but I think they're going to look to move on to other console games and mobile games and stuff in the future. But essentially, this is an application that runs on your computer. Essentially, it just runs with your game, and there's weekly achievements and levels and all sorts of cool stuff. So I think this is a project worth watching. So at least for me, I like all of these verticals that potentially onboard Web 2 non-crypto native users, essentially. And this is definitely a way. I mean, the video game industry is absolutely huge. So if we can get some of these AAA gamers in, because they have Web 2 rewards and Web 3 rewards, so they've got tokens and they've got a Web 2 sort of like Steam keys and all that sort of stuff, like economy going, so both in parallel, then the hope is that, you know, people who are using the Web 2 rewards ecosystem are like, well, what's this token? What's this block token? You know, what can I do with that? And come across and come check out Solana DeFi and just how awesome the ecosystem is over here. So I think that's probably enough for today. Hope you liked the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you did, then please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and leave a comment in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Go follow me on X if you want all this alpha in real time. Sorry I haven't been able to do as many videos as of late. Just been really busy with a couple of crypto related projects that I'm working on with a couple of teams, and also been flat out with my music project. So I've got a release coming out that I need to finish. So that's the long and short of that. So hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Keep safe out there. This is Kryptolytix signing out. Have a good one.